All right, today I am going to be diving into another episode in this ongoing series I'm calling Dissecting Type. And it's a fun series that I'm doing where I go through different designers' type-driven designs and kind of pick apart why it's working and help you understand how to work with type effectively and what designers are doing to make typography kind of steal the show in terms of design. So if you're new, my name is Jamie of Spruce Rd, and you can actually follow along with this PDF that I'm going to be working through today, which is a typography showcase that I put together, showcasing 15 designers who are willing to share the fonts behind some of their favorite designs. So you can download this if you head to sprucerd.com/typography-showcase, and you can get the 70-page PDF yourself and look through all of the beautiful, stunning typographic inspiration, as well as find out which fonts are being used. And this is a really great tool. I've reached out to several kind of heavy hitters in my own terms of designers that I think are really great at using type throughout their logo designs, layout designs, website designs, and they're really generous in sharing the type that is used behind these designs. So head to sprucerd.com/typography-showcase if you haven't already, and you can download the most up-to-date version of this PDF. So first, I'm going to dig into really a couple different logo types and show you kind of what's working about these designs. And I'm just going to give you kind of overview of the showcase. We're actually going to start here right at the beginning. This is one of my favorite design studios who I've been following for a long time and been able to connect with over the last really kind of 7 years of my studio. This is Menta. If you don't follow them already, they have the most fantastic, beautiful, kind of nostalgic designs, a really great foundation of typography. And this is one that they passed on to us to reveal in the showcase. And I love the use of color, obviously, is just fantastic. But their typography that they chose for this logo type is really distinct. It doesn't blend in with kind of other logo types I've seen. It looks really custom and high-end. And just it's set really well. The kerning, the space between the letters is done really well as well. And there's just some uniqueness factor to it. And they distinguish that the type here is Bellachero, and I'm going to head on over to that font's website and show you what that looks like. So here is the font that they used for this project. And as you can see, I think one of the great foundations of typography is selecting which font to use. And sometimes we can get really hung up on this. But what Menta has done in this case is select a font that already has a really distinctive quality about it. It's not a font that kind of blends in with other serifs or sans serifs. It has a really, really good unique factor to it. And currently it's only $19, which is also a fantastic bonus. Now you need to look into licensing if you're using this for logo type. That price might go up, and also depending on how many licenses you need. But overall, it's a good rate right now. So you can see this font here has a lot of versatility. I love when type designers include kind of how they anticipate different ligatures would look together, letters kind of overlapping. There's a lot of playfulness within this font, but also kind of an elevated luxury style to it. So I think picking a great font to start with is obviously a really great start to a type-driven design, and that's what Menta did in this case here. So in this case, they really let the font do the talking. They customized it a little bit here and there, but overall, they really let this type shine through its kind of out-of-the-box style. Of course, they customized it, but picking the right font, I think, is really key here. They picked something that felt distinctive, had some really fun letter forms. I love this A and the R have different levels here, different heights. That feels kind of fun. Of course, this O is really fun. This is really wide, and then this is kind of narrow. So it feels very distinctive and a really unique logo type. Kind of along the same lines, I wanted to dissect the type behind Maud and Faye. This is a ceramic studio from my friend Kelsey of Paper and Oats. She has a wonderful course on InDesign if you are interested in InDesign and learning the complexities of that program in a simplified, easy to digest way through a project. I highly recommend heading to Paper and Oats to find out more about InDesign. But as this about kind of description says over here, she created a pandemic hobby turned into a ceramic studio, which is this mod and fay business. And she throws the most beautiful pottery and ceramics in her studio. And I've seen it in person. It's fantastic. But anyway, back to the design. Dissecting this type, I wanted to just kind of mention this and pair this along with Minta, because what Kelsey did here, actually, when I reached out to her, I just fully expected her to say this was fully custom letter forms, not a font. Therefore, I couldn't feature it in my typography showcase. But I was really pleased that this is actually a font that she pretty much just did the same thing as Minta, which is really leaned on that typeface designer's font, that they've already done all of this hard work in thinking of all the different ligatures, fun kind of elements to that type. And all she really had to do was really typeset it in a tight logo type that worked well with her brand name and this tagline here for ceramics. So here's Mod and Fay, and I'm going to head to the font and show you what that looks like. This is the typeface that Kelsey chose for Mod and Fay. It is Karen by, I don't want to mess up the name here. Let me scroll up here. Newflix.bro. And they have so many fonts here, but currently this is $23 and it's a really affordable price as well. But you can see here, this is almost the exact A, if not the exact A that she uses in Mod and Fay. This font designer has thought of all sorts of kind of fun lockups with the different letters, different ligatures, different kind of combinations within the glyphs panel. So she was able to pull those in and create a really custom looking logo type. And I love that designers are really going beyond what I would expect a typeface to produce, expect a font to give me, and really going into super custom looking setups here. So this is Karen. And again, this is another example of a logo type that's really leaning on heavily on what the type designer has already created, and then transferring that over into a custom logo type, adjusting with kerning and tracking, and also kind of partnering different letters together to create a really cohesive logo type. Another logo type I wanted to highlight in this Dissecting type series is from my friend Ash at Curio Collective. Ash and I have worked together and partnered and collaborated on countless design projects over the last 5.5 years or so. She works with Spruce Rd as well. And this is a logo type project that she did, and it kind of goes a different direction. So the previous ones with Minta and Paper and Oats, they really leaned heavily on an existing typeface and customized and tweaked a little from there. But overall, they really leaned on a very distinctive typeface. And what Ash did at Curio is she is using Knockout Full Middleweight, which I'll show you in just a minute what that looks like. And she's really adjusted that to have a completely different look. Now, I'm actually very familiar with this typeface myself. I've used it in several projects over the last couple decades, honestly. And I didn't know that this was Knockout when I first saw it. I just assumed it was maybe even handwritten. She does a lot of stuff by hand, so I could totally see her printing out. Maybe that's what she did, print it out and tracing and kind of scanning that in. But what I love about this font is that she took a sans serif, a really reputable sans serif, and has customized it to really fit in with these little kind of elements, floral, leafy elements on the side here. That she has a really hand-drawn style, really kind of nostalgic. And a lot of stuff she does is truly, it's not even on the iPad, it's truly scanned in and transferred over. So it has that hand quality. And she's really partnered that type with that, taken a really rigid sans serif and has softened the edges, rounded the corners. She probably distressed a little bit here and there. I'm not sure what else she customized exactly in here, but let's head on over to the font and show you what that looks like. Here we are at Hoffler & Co. This is typography.com, and they are really known for renowned typefaces. These are not playing around. These are not really cheap fonts, not to discredit those at all. I love those. I just showed 2 of those that are more affordable, but these fonts have been really tediously designed over several years and are very robust. You can see Knockout here. These are all the different weights within Knockout. There's several of them. Each of them is really, really tightly designed. So here's Knockout. And as you can see, let me zoom in a little bit here, make these bigger. These are really rigid characters. They don't have that distressed feel that Ash put on those, the characters within her logo type. So this is something that she took and really customized the font from there. So it's not anything that looks out of the box. This is not something another designer would have produced. It's very custom to her logotype because she took it extra and customized those kind of hand qualities from there. So that's another option when creating logotypes, is to really take a font and go extra and make it even more unique through maybe you print it out and scan it in, trace over it with Sharpie, or even you can do some of these things in Illustrator, kind of just dressing the edges, rounding those corners, things like that. So when dissecting this type, I thought this was an interesting one to point out, kind of going a different direction. And next we have this fantastic whole brand I'm going to walk through from Chutzpah. Amy at Chutzpah was fantastic to talk to, and I'm so thankful that they provided several designs for us to kind of showcase and feature and really get a behind the scenes glimpse into their process of creating full brands. And she was really generous in providing this one from Good Type, which I love this entire brand. And it was fun to see how they've executed it through different promo materials aside from just the logo type. So the logo type is purely custom. This is not a font here. And I can't go without mentioning how great this logo type is. The strong slant, it's very distinctive. I love that it's completely custom. It's not, as far as I know, it's not based on a font. And it doesn't look like it is either. It looks like very, very custom to this logo type. It helps that this brand name is a pretty short, succinct brand name. And really great letter forms to work with that gets designers excited. And I love this too. This is just the G over here, but it also has that strong T for Good Type, and that's carried over here. So just really fun to dissect this entire brand for you guys. I'm not going to walk through all of the intricacies here because there's a lot to walk through that I could, but I'm going to share a couple things here. This is a really great glimpse into how the brand is carried out aside from the logo type. So here again is Good Type, their main logo type here. And this is just some of the kind of typography in action that you can actually go to their website, and I saw it in action. And I love the use of type here. Here we see Margot by Hex, and that's this font here, this kind of calligraphy style font. And I think that that pairs so well with the logo type, which is purely custom, because of these strong angles here with the T's and I think, let's see, the L's. Lots of different kind of calligraphy styles have that strong slant, and you can see that translated over into the logo. And so those go really well together, even though this is a very distinct display font. I love that it really pairs well with it, and it doesn't pull away from that logo. And then pairing that with a Gothic font as well as just like a really strong, bold, modern font that's highly legible, I think is needed within this brand, because you can't just have all calligraphy elements everywhere. Otherwise, it loses its kind of specialness, I guess. It's kind of that phrase of like having too much salt. All of a sudden the food dish doesn't taste as good. You want just a little bit of salt. And that's what this calligraphy kind of type style is for this brand. It makes it pop, but it's not too much. It's just using display kind of elements here. And here you can see the brand kind of full out with the logo type, the horizontal version, along with this display, and then the more functionally utilitarian Gothic font here. It's just some really fun designs. I mean, I would never design this. It's so outside my wheelhouse, but I absolutely love it. Chutzpah does a lot of really, they just always inspire me with their designs. They don't kind of play it safe, and I love that about them. So overall, this brand, I love also showing this as a dissecting type series, because it's not just showing the logo type and the submark or motto or seal here. It's really showing how everything is carried out together, which I think is really important as a brand identity, is to really showcase how everything's going to work together. And you can tell that Chutzpah really focuses on a type forward design. They really understand the foundation of typography, and they play with that. They don't play it safe. They have a lot of fun with it. And I think this is a brand that you can definitely have a lot of fun with. And it's just fun to see everything together. And lastly, I wanted to shine light on this design from Dohi Kim. I've followed her for several years, and her work is just so playful, fun, and she just has a really fun personality. And I love the work that she does at Shop Theory, and along with Jess. Everything they do is just really impeccable and very unique design. Dohi has a really fun style and really loves fonts as well. And you can follow her at Font Mama. This is a side project I've actually been following along with for years. And she's just translated it to web. And it's a really great resource for finding like free fonts and just seeing her layouts in action. But I wanted to highlight this one because I feel like this is a little bit different of a project. The other ones were more focused on brand identity design. And this is just a fun typography lockup. If you're looking for a concept project to design, this is a great kind of resource. But I love just the layout here. It's really fun doing some kind of playing with the right and left alignment, utilizing different hierarchy as far as the large type and the small type. But as far as a layout, that's something I wanted to point out too, is that this is a really great lockup as is, but she really has fun with the layout. And what works about this is implementing different color palettes. I love this whole color palette together, but this is a designer trick if you don't already do this. Whenever showcasing your work, you can just simply group this all together, copy it, either drag it on over right next to it, or like she did here, angle it. And it's a really great way to kind of present your work, is just duplicating different parts of it, changing the color. And I think that's just a fun way to present different type-driven designs that give it a different kind of layer within the design itself. But all of her work, I'll just scroll through, I can't help it. It's just really playful and really fun. And again, you can find her at fontmama.com, and she's got a few different websites. Her studio is Shop Theory, along with Jess, and she does really great type-driven design work. So hopefully this gives you a glimpse into the Typography Showcase. Again, you can download that at sprucerd.com/typography-showcase. And it's a 70-page PDF where you can look at the fonts revealed behind some of these fantastic designers. It's a great resource, something that I plan to grow as years go on, something that I'm already referencing for client projects to get inspired by not only different fonts to use, but also kind of presentation style when presenting work. It's a really great resource, something I've worked hard on to curate, and I'm so thankful for all the designers who have submitted. We've got some really great designers like Saffron Avenue, Letter South is in there, Northfolk, I can't name them all, Routine Creative, just a lot of great designers are in there, really revealing the type behind their designs. And I'm so thankful for each of them. So go ahead and grab that if you haven't already, and you can follow along and start dissecting type yourself.